Good morning. You may note that they've, following the provost and the dean of the graduate school, they scheduled the guy who covers the campus complaint office for whatever reason. My name is Jim Wohl. I'm the University Ombudsman, and I wanted to talk to you briefly about the Ombuds office. You may be familiar with such an office at prior institutions you've been at. And if I could figure out doing that. Great. The history of the Ombuds office at Auburn University was established in 2008, originally designed for employees, but the office has really been servicing graduate students or been a resource for graduate students since its inception in 2008, but officially as of last fall, now also serves the entire campus population, including the undergraduate and graduate students. And we're happy to be doing that and being a resource for you. So I want to talk a little bit about what the office really, what role it can play in your lives or as a resource for your time on campus here. The principles of the Ombuds office is that it's a resource that's confidential, independent of the academic structure that you may be involved with or assigned to. It's a neutral or impartial resource. In other words, my posture is to be neutral, not to be an advocate for the university, nor really to be an advocate for any individual that might visit my office, but to be a neutral third party, if you will, that doesn't have really a stake in the concern that you have, but really just wants to provide you with information or assistance that you need to meet your goals in that concern that you might have. And that it's also informal, and that it's an alternative, if you will, to the formal processes, many of which you're learning about this morning and will be learning about as you continue your career here as well. So the office, as an individual, I don't participate in any type of formal process or formal complaint management system at all. It's a private, confidential, off-the-record conversation, kind of strategy session, if you will. A lot of times I can collect information for people that you might not feel comfortable or might not know where to go to for that information, and no one knows that we've spoken except you and I, and that generally stays that way. So some of the activities, I just wanted to briefly mention some of the things that I or my office can do and some of the things that I can't or cannot do. And generally speaking, what I can promise you is that to the extent allowed by law, that I would keep our conversation confidential, that I'll actively listen to your questions and offer information that you may need. We'll probably talk a lot about different options you have for approaching the concern that you're raising, but ultimately you'll be in charge. I won't do anything independently on my own. You'll always be in charge of how you approach the problem too. We'll talk about different steps. If there are certain times where it's helpful to have a neutral third party intervene with you, if it involves, let's say, another office or a mentor or a colleague or someone else on campus, we can discuss that, and I would do that, but I would only do that with your permission if you were asking me to do that. We'd discuss that. It would be a real obvious thing that we've planned on together. In addition to, because I serve the entire campus community, there's an opportunity to be alerted to different trends on campus, different concerns that are maybe affecting campus, and I have the access and the opportunity and the responsibility, frankly, to bring those concerns or those trends that we're seeing in the office up to administrative leaders, for example, the graduate school. Let's say there's a particular policy that graduate students are having trouble with from all different parts of campus, and I'm learning about that because people are coming to talk to me about that in the office. I'm in a great position to be able to confidentially, without revealing who I've been speaking to, let the graduate school know that I'm seeing traffic in my office relating to a certain policy that seems to be confusing for a lot of people. So that would be an example of giving kind of upward feedback or reporting trends to administrative offices on campus. Some of the things I can't do, or that it's not appropriate for the Ombuds office to be involved with, and the most important is that I don't do independent investigations, or I don't do any type of fact-finding investigations or activities. There are certainly other offices on campus and officers on campus that do such things, and if that's an important thing to do, then we'll get you to the right office to do that. I don't serve as an agent of notice for the university, so talking with me, because it's a confidential resource, does not suggest that Auburn University knows about the concern you're bringing forward. Okay, so it's an off-the-record type of process. I can't overturn administrative decisions. I don't have any authority to authorize or compel anyone to overturn a decision they've made. I don't offer legal advice or psychological counseling. I don't have any training in that area. I won't participate in any formal process or grievances. Let's say we're working on something and later it turns into a formal grievance process. I won't participate in that, and that's kind of an understanding for those offices on campus and an understanding I have with people who visit me in the office. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't serve as an advocate for either an office or anyone on campus. Okay, well, I just wanted to close by just talking about what are some of the things that we talk about. And this is some data from an annual report from a few years ago. I'll be, next week, be furnishing the most recent year's annual report. And what we can see is a list of categories, broad categories that some of these concerns fall into. And this is combined information for faculty and graduate students and undergraduate students who might come to the Ombuds office. And we'll see that some of these issues fall under the category of peer and colleague relationships. The largest category of concerns is problems that occur amongst evaluative relationships. So for graduate students, that might be between a graduate student and their mentor or their department or the faculty members that they're working with. So that's a very common concern, and you're welcome to visit the office to discuss that privately and off the record. Compensation and benefits. Another category that seems to be more represented by student concerns is services and administration. So that's either problems or lack of understanding about how to navigate some of the services and administrative offices on campus, or frankly, sometimes complaints about those offices or the way, or either the decisions that came out of those offices or the behavior or treatment that they received in those offices. Anything along those lines, we're happy to meet with and talk to you about. And then some of the activities, this is just a breakdown of some of the activities that an Ombuds person like me does in their office. Far and away the most common activity is an individual, kind of a strategy session where we explore options and discuss what are possible avenues for you to address the concern you may have. And we'll call that individual consultation or problem solving. A great deal of referring to other offices and policies, identifying policies on campus that might be applicable to the concern that you have. Occasionally reaching out in what seems like or appears like either a facilitation or a mediation with a third party, bringing people to the office and having a private conversation where we can kind of exchange ideas, work on a plan of moving forward and resolving a problem or a conflict. And then looking into information, finding the answers to questions that you may not feel comfortable identifying yourselves by publicly asking that question is another real common activity in the office. I'm able to do that in an anonymous, kind of generic way and collect the information you might need and then give you that information without you having to come forward or identify yourself to ask that question. So those are the major activities I think that might be most important to our meeting today. Unfortunately, due to scheduling conflict, I won't be available at the resource fair, but I've left with Jennifer a bunch of my brochures and my business cards on there too, which explains in a lot more detail kind of the things we touched on here this morning too. My office is located in the basement floor of the Quad Center building. That building, you're going to get a lot of information today, so I'm not going to try to explain exactly where that is, but it's on the campus map, and it's very near the Student Center on a street called Quad Drive. So I hope to see you, and more important than that, I hope that today's the first day, as Provost Businger alluded to, of maybe the most exciting and intellectually stimulating period of your lives, and best of luck to all of you. Thank you.